Hey, how's everybody doing? Welcome to Talking Shit with your boy Sophisticated Jerk. So today, man, I wanted to cover that one clip with Sarah. She was on tonight's conversation and she was asked a question, would you get with somebody that made 70,000? And she was just like, hell no. She shot that shit down quick. And I gotta say, man, I gotta agree with her, man. Cause me, y'all know me, the 50-50 guy, man. I tell dudes all the time, stop messing with broke people, man. Mess with somebody in your weight class. It's like if you getting bread, man, try to get you a girl that's getting some bread too. Cause man, those whole taking on burdens and stuff like that, you're gonna burn out, trying to take that on and stuff. So yeah, I agree with her, man. It's like, cause they asked her, it's like, hey, if you made 500K and that person made 70,000, would you be with that? So, and she was like, nah. And I ain't no way in hell I'll do it either. Shit. And I'm a guy, so I know damn well females ain't gonna take that on. So let me go ahead and pull up this clip and, we'll break it down. But it's definitely floating around. A lot of people been doing breakdowns, but they was giving her a lot of pushback like, oh, what about the character and all that? I'm like, Sarah, fuck character. Sarah should have just said it. She was trying to be like dancing around it. Cause I know she don't want to be too harsh, but me, I'm like, damn that broke shit. Like, I ain't trying to be out here spending all my damn bread. You better keep up, goddamn it.
If a man came along, let's say y'all both make 500K a year. He's making 70K. He got a business plan. He got a vision. He's working towards that day in and day out. And you would have to look up at him on all the intangible. Does he get a chance?
No. I would rather be single. This is the thing.
Wow.
Let me tell you why. I have gotten to a certain point because I've built to a certain point. Mm-hmm. I am disciplined in everything. Mm-hmm. I'm disciplined in relationship with God, in my emotions, in my mentality, in my energy, in my body, and how I eat. I am very disciplined.
She said, so I would expect
that a man is the same thing. Because when you're disciplined, whatever you do the most is what compounds in your life. Why would I not give a shot to a person that makes $70,000 a year? I could put you on. Hell, I could even hire you. Come on, let's work together.
She'll get your ass a job. She ain't fucking with you, though.
But as far as my man, because this is the thing, I refuse to give into a life where I start to feel like I can't have it all.
I don't believe that.
So let me pause right there. So I think this is what people are missing, man. When you get older, man, you done with that growth shit. You done did all that work. You at a whole different level. I think she's in her late 30s, 37 around there. So like I said, I got the same sentiments, man. I'm in my 40s. I ain't building with nobody, and what she was saying, like, I'm not trying to not feel like I can't have it all. Cause it's like, man, when you put yourself in a good position, man, people don't understand the level of sacrifices you had to do to get to that level. So it's just like, man, I'm sorry. If somebody can't really keep up, I'm not messing with it. And I'm not taking on that burden, because you got to look at it like this. If somebody, say like in that dynamic that they put together, 500,000 is 70K. Say like if you're a person, man, you get to that level, you're probably taking like 3 to 4 trips a year. Man, you got to kind of cover that person, because they're not going to be able to do all that. So it's like, okay, you done double that expense. So if you're a person, you go out to eat 3 to 4 times a week, somebody around that range, and 70,000 ain't nothing to frown on. So don't let me act like I'm shitting on that, because shout out to people that's getting money, man. But there's a big discrepancy. So like I was saying, if you go out to eat 3 to 4 times a week, you're with somebody, man, you're going to be like, I'm going to cover them because that's the right thing to do. But over time, man, it starts to become a burden. The person that's like always covering everything, spending money, like you might not be able to invest that much anymore. So you're going to start feeling a certain way, man. It's just a natural human response. So I know like guys, typically, man, we'll be like, we'll take that on, that burden and stuff. And even though we might feel a certain way, we just look at it like it's part of the game. So guys are a little more built like that. But I'm like, if I know I wouldn't want to do it, shit, I know females ain't gonna want to step in that dynamic. So I don't understand why people are so shocked that somebody that makes it that high would be like, oh, hell nah. And plus, it's like, if you look at relationships, most marriages only last like 5 to 8 years. And if you look at like one of the biggest components of why like marriage is in, like finances is one of the biggest ones. It's like financial stress. So typically it's like, man, if somebody's taking on all that stress and burden, they're going to start checking out of the relationship. So I think sometimes like people give a lot of pushback, because even with me, they were like, damn, man, that's different for a guy to have that requirement. I'm like, man, I know I would not be able to tolerate that and, kind of deal with that dynamic, man. I like my money in my pocket. So it's just like, I think you're supposed to be honest with yourself, what you could take on, because you don't want to be in a position where you get married and then you end up divorced because you could have, you wouldn't like the dynamic and stuff. So I think that's good that she's being honest with it. So I think people need to sometimes sit back and, they should ask a question. Why can't you take it? Let them explain it out. And then you can start hearing the logic and the reasoning. But let me get back in the clip.
And the gluttony, because if you already have it all, why do you need a man to give you more? Like, that's the part of the conversation that I just cannot fully understand.
And maybe
it's not love that they want.
Maybe
it's not.
Let me finish.
Well, see, that's the issue, because when they're talking about it's not love you want, love is just emotion, and that shit is fleeting. And if it wasn't, the divorce rate wouldn't be so high, and if, like I said, finances wouldn't be one of the major reasons people divorce. So that's why I think, it's kind of messed up that they're coming at her like this. Like, I understand what people hear, but it's just like, man, when you look at the numbers and stuff, finances is critical. So even though people say all this I love you shit, let there be imbalances, or there ain't enough, you have the financial stress, finances is impacting the household to a degree. Like, man, it's gonna break up. So it's just like, love is like a lot more dynamics than just like the emotional part. It's like religions, parenting, like I said, finances is critical. Like, who saves money, who wants to invest. So that's where when they just put it that simplistic like that, it's like, man, y'all crazy as hell. Like, y'all telling somebody that to jump at the dynamic like that, Sarah be checked out like after a year. She'd be like, I'm done with this shit. If she if she just like listened to people and she got in that relationship, it'll be a wrap within like 1 to 2 years. She'll be so resentful and stuff like that. So it's just like, you shouldn't want nobody to be in a dynamic like that, because it's just going to end bad. And then, it's like a lot of times people don't see it from the person that has to spend all the money all the time. Because it's, a lot of times people are looking at it from the person that's making less. Like, well, you got all this money, you should have an issue covering it. It's like, man, do you know what it took for me to get to this position where I got all this excess and stuff like that? And I might be putting money away from my kids, or, I might be helping my parents out or something like that. So, a lot of times people allocate other people's money, man. So I think that's messed up also. But let me get back into the clip.
Why does money have to be null and void of love?
I think it's because y'all keep going to money. Like, y'all don't really chime on like the other intangibles as much. It's mostly about the money.
But that's other tangibles. It's whole. It's all of it. If you're missing one, you can't rank one on the scale of 1 to 10. In my lifestyle, in people that I know, I don't really know any people that make $70,000
well, I know.
a year.
What about a high school teacher who loves the kids in his community, who's not on that money shit? He wants to serve. That's not what I'm talking about.
I'm talking about the people that I am around on a daily basis, the people that I call on my phone. It's different. So I will say my vantage point for what success looks like monetarily speaking is exponentially different than most people. I understand that. And I'm not here to wrong or shame the person that makes $70,000, because the truth is every single person deserves love. But like Tasia said, that's not going to happen with me, because I live in a space where I want to follow the leadership of my man. I want my man to make the decisions inside of my household. It's not about a dollar amount. It's not.
Yeah, okay. Stop lying, Sarah.
No, it's not.
See, that's where she fucked up. When, you kind of equated like leadership to a dollar amount. Then she wanted to kind of get out of that a little bit. She was like, well, it's not about a dollar amount. Yes, it is. Just, man, we got to start accepting honesty. We can't be like, man, we want people to be honest, but but then we don't want the honesty. So it's just like, in her case, she equates leadership to a dollar amount, and it technically shouldn't. But I think that's where she just needs to stay on the frame of, like I said, I don't want to take on a burden. Like, I don't want to be paying for somebody's shit. And I think also where she's trying to say is there is a different mindset when people that's like hit certain levels. Because like I said, it's the sacrifice, a lot of times to get to a certain level, man, you're investing, you got an investment mindset. So people think like people just blow money all the time. But, to get to high levels, you're probably good at saving money, putting stuff, you live below your means and stuff. So somebody that might not went through that same process that you did, they might be looking at your money like, oh, I got an influx now, boy. We could spend, we could kick it. So, you know, so when you're telling them about like investments, 401ks, retirement plans, all this stuff, you know, they might not just be up to that speed. And then you're going to start kind of coming off like a parent to them, because they're going to be like, oh man, they're boring. They're too structured and stuff like that. Because I hear it all the time from like guys, like I'm around a lot of people, like she was saying, that's like super successful. And when they try to date other people, they be like, you know, I just got so much structure. I operate a certain way. They just can't understand it, man. They, you know, I have to scold them. I'm like, hey, man, you need to put money away. So they kind of turn into that parent mode. And, you know, the people that's in I'll say the lower bracket, man, they don't like that, because they're like, oh, you're talking down to me. You're, like I said, you're not doing nothing. You're too structured for them. So they just kind of find them boring. So it ends up fizzling out anyway. So, and then the last point before I get back to the video, she says she's around a lot of multi-millionaires and, you know, people that make that money. So if she got in that dynamic with the $70,000 dude and she starts getting resentful, she's gonna wind up with the work husband. Somebody gonna be smashing in a little bit. So that's why I say it sometimes it's best to be honest with yourself and avoid situations that it's either going to end up, you know, broken up just like due to the natural cause of, like I said, the burden and resentment, or somebody going to wind up, you know, moving on and cheating and shit. So, but let me get back to the video.
Lead in other ways.
No,
and with finances,
you've got to lead the household. You can look, money doesn't buy you happiness, but it buys you options.
Exactly.
This is the question. The question I want to ask in fairness.
These people just got money. Like, they don't even, the people who think they got money don't even have no bread.
Let me ask you the question.
I disagree with you because I know the people.
Yeah, she kind of messed up her argument with the whole leadership and finances, because, you know, if she's making that case, it's like you will only follow a guy that made a certain amount. So that's your position. So kind of stand on it, you know. But I like I said, I agree with her as far as like, I think people need to kind of link up with people in similar situations, because it's just naturally easier. You guys have a certain mindset that's like similar. And then, like I said, you know, you'll have a lower resentment level when you gotta, you know, kind of cover costs and stuff, because, you know, there won't be too much of an imbalance. But all right, y'all, man, oh yeah, one last thing. I think guys need to start adopting the mindset that like Sarah and them, because I see so many high earning guys. You know me, I'm like, don't mess with no broke chicks. But I think a lot of guys, man, they will take the IHOP worker. I used to give them so much pushback, and then, you know, they end up, you know, in a position of like paying out alimony. So I think females are sometimes a little smarter with guys. They be like, let them get some paper. They're like, I ain't messing with no broke dude. I ain't about to like be paying no alimony and stuff like that. So they have more requirements. And I think men need to start getting more requirements and stuff especially when they make certain levels and stuff, because man, it is dangerous out here. We see this play out more and more, where it's just like people are lawyering up, taking people's hard-earned money. So yeah, shit. Maybe we need to take a chapter out of the females' book and start putting them financial requirements on females. So like, let me be single out here. I'm gonna be like, hey, you don't make around what I do. I can't mess with it like that. Damn sure won't be walking down no aisle. But all right, y'all, man, keep tuning in. I just wanted to, you know, hit this video real quick. It's been floating around. So all right, y'all, peace out.